When shadows fall and spirits howl, zombies stalk and madmen prowl, monsters lurk and victims shiver. Thrills and chills they will deliver. Arise from your graves and get in the mood. It's time to join the Spooky Dudes.
Boom.
I didn't want it to end.
It's good, right? That voice guy's from Atlanta. He's really good. I asked him to channel his Vincent Price from Michael Jackson's Thriller.
It was absolutely. I was expecting the Thriller song to start, and then you'd get kicked off.
Yeah. Hey, everybody! Welcome back. I guess we're gonna call this episode 2 because that's what I'm calling it. Because this is the new thing, Spooky Dudes Live. I'm Corey. And joining me tonight is a very special guest you guys should all know and love because he was the subject of the very first ever episode of Spooky Dudes back in whenever we did it.
I didn't know that.
Well, Bad Ben. Bad Ben was the first movie that we ever reviewed on the podcast.
I did not know that. You see that? Now that explains why you were so bad at it. No, I'm just kidding.
Nigel Bach is here, everybody.
Hi, folks.
I reached out to him very last minute and said, "Hey, what you doing?"
I had to reschedule so much stuff to be here tonight because I'm an in-demand kind of guy. But for you, the world.
We got to say hello, Jody. How are you?
Hi, Jody.
First in chat. So I said, I want to do an episode with you and you can pick the movie. We'll do like a regular old movie thing. So Nigel picked Sick. I keep saying flick and then sick, and it bothers me that it's too much. There's something with the wording that bothers me because I say flick a lot, but then I can't say it with sick. So film.
Well, I was saying The Big Sick, but that was a whole different movie, and that wasn't a horror. That was the movie with the guy from Silicon Valley who's now doing Marvel Comics, and that's his true story about him and his wife, but it was Sick.
Yes. The little sick.
Right.
But first, what's been going on, man? What's been going on in the Bad Ben universe? You got Bad Ben TV?
Well, we got Bad Ben TV going, and that's grown. And we started a show that I just have a blast doing. I did a podcast for Access Paranormal, which is in the United Kingdom. And these guys are great. And they go out, and I'll tell you, and it's kind of like when you drive past a car accident, how you rubberneck. When they would come up on as a live feed, you know how you get notices? I would tune in to see what they were doing, and you just can't turn away because they're having technical difficulties some of the times. They're sitting there, they're contacting spirits and all with a spirit box and a spirit talker, and they're just fascinating to watch. So when I did the last podcast with them, I invited my co-star on from the last 2 movies, Scott. And because I'm a bit of a skeptic when it comes to the paranormal stuff, Scott, however, has had some experiences that make the remaining hair on my head stand up. And so I said, let me bring him on. So I did, and we got talking to him, and they said, let's go. Would you like to take a tour? Because where they do their broadcast from is actually in this place that they say is like haunted.
Yeah.
So the whole time there's this door behind them, like kind of like in your room there, you got a door behind you.
Yeah.
And they said, would you like to go on a tour? I said, yeah. And they opened that door and they take me downstairs while broadcasting on their phone, live streaming. And it was fascinating what they were doing. And I said to them, guys, I want to put this on Bad Ben TV. So every week normally Friday night, sometimes Saturday, because it's a lot to edit. About a 45-minute show with them we put on, and it's Scott and I here in the studio and them in the United Kingdom, and they're walking around doing their paranormal investigation, and we're asking questions, and we're seeing the stuff that's happening. And this one episode 4, was just out of this world weird. There's this one point where they're showing a tombstone, and it looks like a demon's face is on it, but when they move, it's just from the light. And there's this other segment, and I won't keep going on about this, but there's this other segment where they have these cat balls, which are toys that if your cat swats them around, the lights go off. But if they're sitting still, the lights go out. So they use these as like ghost detectors. They put them down and walk away from them, and if something smacks them or hits them, they go off. So it's like you're wondering if something's over there. Well, they're going nuts. And all of a sudden, up on their Spirit Talker app comes the word Jesus. And immediately, all the activity stopped. And they said, oh, well, let's go over to this other part of the cemetery. We were in a cemetery, by the way. And they go over, and here's this grave marker. It's got this symbol on the top of it. It looked like INX or something like that. And I said, what does that mean? That's like that's like some religious symbol, isn't it? And they said, oh, I don't know. So while I'm editing it, I Googled it, and it means Jesus. And like 2 minutes earlier, while they were over the other side, they got this come up on the Spirit Talker, Jesus. 2 minutes later, they're standing in front of a tombstone, which has the ancient word for Jesus written on it. So that was just weird. But they're really fascinating guys. They're funny. The show's good. We've been doing it weekly. And we haven't actually, moving on to Bad Ben stuff, we haven't actually started shooting the next one yet, because in 2 weeks, Scott gets married. So right now he's got this long hair. Like, what would I know about long hair? But he's got this long hair, and his fiance has him going to her stylist to get the haircut right before they leave for the wedding. And so I can't start filming and then have his hair look totally different. Although that hasn't stopped us before, because if you saw Bad Ben 11, Scott had like 4 different hairstyles in a span of 48 hours. And Mitch went from his hair almost a crew cut to it sticking out to here. So you do what you know.
Yeah, continuity's a thing. I mean, continuity's been a mixed bag in horror forever. So it's, it's fine. They were entertaining. I mean, nonetheless. So
when are we going to talk about Sick?
We can talk about Sick right now, but really quick. Because I'm a shill, okay? I'm a shill. I'm going to give a plug to my sponsor here, frightrags.com. If you're watching this, you probably like horror stuff, and so you can go to fright-rags.com right now. Use code SpookyDudes10 and save 10% off your order at checkout, even if it's on clearance. 10% off clearance. Can't get better than that. Fright-rags.com.
11%.
Well, if it's 50% off, then you take 10% off of that. Hold on, I need to make this thing a ticker real quick. Let's see. So professional here. There we go. Badben.com for merch and more info. Nigel Bach.
I'm going to check out. Well, thank you. But I'm going to check out Fright Rags. I'm not going to do it right now because I think it'll interrupt the feed and it'll just, speaking of continuity.
I've got 20 minutes set aside for us just to peruse their catalog. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. We could do that. Do they have affiliate links? We'll put them up on the Bad Ben site.
Just for now, just the code. I don't have a link, but the code still works. Spooky Dudes 10. It's good stuff. The lounge pants, you can get Joe Bob if you want to wear lounge pants with Joe Bob on them, and they're hella comfortable.
Now he's a tall dude because I met him and he's a tall guy, like 6'4", 6'5", I think.
Oh, yeah, big old dude. Yeah.
So my idea of the ideal like pants would be where he's from. His boots are down by your ankles and his head's up by your hip on each side. Him on one side, Darcy on the other. Is that what they're like?
It's not quite the.
All right, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Now I need to find them. We got a couple of comments here real quick. Oh, this guy. This is our buddy Richard from Night of the Nerdy Laser and FrankenCon. This is
Him and I go to the same barber.
That because that was our plan. If you didn't want your likeness on the shirt, it's Richard. It's Richard.
Yeah, he tried passing the back of that bald head off as mine, but I recognize my bald head, Richard.
Okay, I cannot easily find this lounge pants, but just take my word for it. They are comfortable, and I don't even know if they're actually in stock anymore. I think they're probably sold out. Joe Bob had them at the con, though.
Well, you know, they'd be very popular around here because as it is now, like when you go out to grocery stores or anything, I mean, a year ago you were wearing a mask. Now people are wearing pajama pants and flip-flops when they're going grocery shopping. So it could be a thing.
That is true. Actually, I think I can make this work. Let's see. It's going to look weird, but here's the pants.
I can see the wheels start. Look at that. Wow.
Look at those pants. So much Joe Bob, just crotch. You got the Lone Star beer. You got Ernie's in here somewhere. The bearded dragon, I think. I mean, they're beautiful.
Wow.
Let's see. We had this is our buddy Skeletex. That's that would be our other sponsor for Mr. Nigel coming to FrankenCon, by the way.
Who, Skeletex?
Skeletex, yeah.
I like him already because he's saying yo with an exclamation point, not yo with a question mark. Like, you know.
Yo. How does Sly say it? Is his a question mark or an exclamation point?
By the way, have you seen Tulsa?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
It's the show on Paramount that he's in. And I got to tell you, it is like The Sopranos. It's got a very Soprano-ish type feel to it. And he is excellent in it.
I've heard good things. I mean, he's awesome. Like, can't beat that guy.
Yeah,
he's Rocky.
I won't try because, he's Rocky.
Lounge pants, Skeletex again with lounge pants and pajama pants have been standard attire for Walmart for years.
You guys have seen the people of Walmart site, right?
Oh, yeah. There's worse things than lounge pants on there.
Back during the pandemic, we had people in Walmart, and I saw something like this on that site. We had people in Walmart in chem gear.
Like Fallout gear, like the everything. And I remember a bank that I use locally, they had, this is all pre-pandemic, you were not allowed to walk in there with a hat on because just for security purposes they want you to have a hat off. So I guess if I was going to hold the joint up, they would know. I imagine what the hell they did when they came out with masks. Just robberies everywhere.
Yeah, well, I just think that everybody's a suspect when you walk in there with a mask. What are you supposed to do if they ask you for ID? Hand them your driver's license and then...
I saw him take a kid. I took my daughter to the doctor today. She had a high fever this morning. And this kid came in there like, we haven't had a picture of him in like 5 years. And so she's like, do you want him to take off his mask? And it's like, everybody's wearing masks. And he took his down and just smiled real big. And she pointed the camera at him and then he put it back on.
Is he okay?
Oh, yeah. My daughter's, she's good. She just, I don't know. She's got some bug. We haven't found out what it is, but.
Well, besides COVID, there still is the flu and cold.
I think it's more something like that. It's either that or strep, we think.
Well, as soon as I got home from FrankenCon, I took a COVID test. I recognize that name, Brandon Posey. Corey used to work at Walmart, so he's got firsthand knowledge. Let me tell you something. You know, some Targets are now hiring for $24 an hour.
Oh my God.
And they also, if you work 24 hours a week, you get health insurance. So I want to know, I want to volunteer to work 24 hours a year and see what they'll offer me. I don't know.
We'll give you 1 week of insurance. It'll be great.
I don't know if I look destitute because I always like wear, you know, hoodies and stuff, but people are always asking me if I want a job when I go in there. I mean, it's not like I'm pulling pennies out of my pocket to pay for what I'm paying for, but it seems like half of every store I go into say, you won't by any chance be looking for a job, would you? I say, no, I'm not. But I have a Roku channel if you want to look at it.
Bad Ben TV on your Roku.
Well, you know, we're adding Amazon Fire Stick in the spring.
Oh, that's cool.
I took a poll to see what the second most common streaming platform my fans have, and it's that Fire Stick, followed by Samsung TVs, and then, you know, of course, some people misread the poll and were telling me I stream on Netflix, so that didn't help. But
I'm a big fan of Roku, like the interface, the channels. I mean, everything. I've got both, but I like the Roku better.
Well, just so happens before I even got a Roku channel or planned one, I bought a TV that was a Roku TV. And the interface, I've got like 4 of them now in the house. They're Vizio Roku TVs, and they're just, like you said, the interface is great. Plus, I like, you can put, and you might be able to do this with many brands, Stevie, you can put in your headphones if you want and listen to the TV without it blasting out. That helps if you ever go, if you're watching like something you shouldn't be watching. But
never.
Huh?
Never.
Yeah.
We PG-13. That's the highest we go. Jurassic Park's about the raciest thing I'll ever watch.
Well, you know, there's some films I'm amazed that are, and I can't think of an example right now, but there's some films. Well, I'll give you, for instance, Holly and I were talking about this tonight. She asked if I still watched The Boys on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, they're just, you know, between seasons. That is a horrifically like violent show.
It's brutal.
And, I mean, it's just, it's brutal. And there's other things I see when people do or advertise in movies that I guess at the size they are, they're able to get away with. But if I tried to do something too brutal, I mean, I did have my 2 nude scenes, the one in Badder Ben and then the one in Bad Ben or Benign. And, but I was concerned putting them on Amazon at the time that they wouldn't get approved. But I guess they were okay with it because nobody believed it when they saw it. So
Amazon had a weird, I know we're on like the aside of asides here, but like back when I first started watching stuff on Prime, they showed anything. Like it seemed like any movie you wanted to see, regardless of the rating or how much sexual content it had, violence, whatever, it was fine. But then all of a sudden, let's just say like 7 or 8 years ago, they had some kind of hammer down, like we're not going to show anything with like explicit sexual content, not like porn necessarily, but like, what's the guy's name? Gaspar Noé. Have you watched any of his movies?
No.
I may be pronouncing it wrong. He had a movie called Love that was on Netflix for a while, and it was like there was a love challenge because
I read an article about some of the most like explicit movies, and that was one that came up. But you know, I wonder, like Amazon, when you go there now, it has links to where you can link your HBO and your Showtime and your different things to there.
Yeah. HBO,
like for instance, The Wire. I mean, the the stuff that's on there, how can they take and restrict some content on there when other things are just so anyway, it is what it is.
I'm against censorship, but I mean, I'm cool as a parent. I'm like, I don't want my kids watching certain things, but I'm like, if you want access to something, as long as it's legal, I could give two shits, like go
There's
for it.
certain things I think that they need to think about. For instance, The Watcher on Netflix. Great, well done show based on the true story here out of New Jersey. But you've got people out there that'll get ideas from that and start sending letters to people. But as long as they understand the ramifications if they get caught.
That was an interesting show. Not a lot of, I went down a rabbit hole of like the true story after the fact because it wasn't a satisfying ending at all. Like it was just like, there's no.
Well, that's because they wanted a second season. And if they followed the true story, all that happened was the family moved out. And the family that has since purchased the property has had nothing like this happen.
Like who sends letters anymore? So
I don't even know. Were they postmarked? I think they were just stuck in the mailbox. Would you not set a camera up on your mailbox? What the hell's wrong with you? But there's certain things you have to accept.
FrankenCon returns with a sequel to Die For, The Bride of FrankenCon. Witness the resurrection of horror with two massive reunions. It's Friday the 13th, Part 6 stars CJ Graham and Tom Matthews, along with a grindhouse reunion of Henenlotter, Hintonrick, and Mullen, along with the man behind the crow, James O'Barr. Plus cult stars like Carl York from Cannibal Holocaust and Felissa Rose from Sleepaway Camp. Friday and Saturday, June 9th and 10th at the Hilton Knoxville Airport on 2001 Alcoa Highway, Alcoa, Tennessee, next to McKee Tyson Airport. Tickets on sale now at frankencontn.com.
Hey, can we talk about Sick?
Oh, that movie we watched. Yeah. That's the
reason why I said that is right before doing this tonight, coming on, I watched it again just so that I could talk intelligently about it.
Perfect. I watched it the night we talked, and then I watched it again last night, but last night's watch was sort of half attentive, but I got it. It's listed here as a 2022 film on IMDb. I'm counting this as a 2023 film because I'm pretty sure it didn't hit Peacock until this year.
Yeah, well, we're only day 18, but it just appeared last week, I think. It popped up there.
First movie of the season. Let's go.
So they might have put it out in late 2022, but how about that house they were in?
That house was dope.
Yeah, tell me about it. Big old log, or made to look like a log cabin, but it was just awesome and on a lake. But I don't like to criticize. I mean, if something's a piece of garbage, I'm going to come right out and say, don't waste your time. That's not the case here. And there's certain things like you have to what is it called?
Suspension of disbelief.
Correct. Because there's certain things like, I mean, in this film, there was some masked character that you eventually get to find out who it was, but that was looking to kill this young lady. And I'm thinking if that was the goal, and this was the thing I noticed on the second watch, if that was the goal, why didn't you do it when you went in and took her cell phone?
I mean, yeah, true.
He walked in, he unplugged her cell phone right then and there. Get it over with. But then there would be no movie.
Well, right. And this, so to give everybody kind of the background too, this is if you haven't seen it, it's a slasher film. But it takes place in 2020 at like the height of COVID. So it's when everybody was masking up and everybody was very paranoid. States were on lockdown. People were wiping. There's a scene where a character wipes down a box of cereal. And I remember doing that, like a couple of times. And I was like, why don't I just wash my hands after I pour the bowl? of cereal.
Right.
It'll be okay, but I think we were all freaking out, because we didn't know what it was and what was going to happen.
Well, it started the first week in April, and they were leaving college.
Yep.
Two college students were leaving college because college class was shutting down, and they went to stay at her family's home, or vacation home, and which is basically like a getaway, she was saying, for her father. He just goes up there once a year for like a boys' day or something. Sounds a little weird to me, but anyway. So yeah, it started right at the beginning, and it brought back some memories, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
For you, didn't it bring back some memories, like when they're putting on mass grocery store shelves were empty and lines and arrows down the aisle?
It did, because I mean, I'm sort of there's a bit of hypochondriac in me, right? And so I was doing every one of those things. That I remember going in Publix with the arrows and them saying over the speakers when somebody walked the wrong way, please walk, the direction of the arrow. And I remember going the wrong way for a second. I saw a guy freak out and flatten himself against a shelf. And I'm like, sorry.
Well, here they were having, when the grocery stores would open, there would be a line, even at first thing in the morning when they open, and they would take your temperature as you were coming through the door. And there was a monitor up there that they hit a button and it said, there's now 20 people in the store. And they had like a limit of 100 people in the store. And that's to take and imagine, and people fighting over toilet paper. But let me tell you here, on Steelmanville Road, not a problem. The greatest invention ever is the bidet toilet seat.
You need to get a bidet sponsor.
I should, because let me tell you something. That thing leaves you feeling clean. I won't get graphic, but it leaves you feeling clean and fresh. And toilet paper, who needs toilet paper?
I've got to look into one of these things.
They're cheap now too, but get one. Listen to me. If you take any advice from me ever, get one with a heated seat.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because they make them without, but you get one with a heated seat and you might camp in there. I'm telling you right now. I'm
just living on the Super Soaker toilet seat.
That's right. So, Stick, I'm sorry, I got us off track here.
Well, I wanted to ask you a question. So, did the opening of this, I don't know how much you looked into the behind the scenes stuff, but did the cold opening of this film remind you of kind of the pacing or cold opening of another film?
It made me, my immediate thoughts of this were Scream when I first saw this, but without the comedy aspect of a lot of Scream.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought. And I was actually confused by the beginning until the end kind of explained it.
Sure.
But without breaking the path you're following here, remember when on Instagram she shows the guy she's like making out with?
Yeah.
Was that supposed to be him?
The guy grocery shopping?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No,
I'm glad you said that, because tonight, the second time I watched it, I said, that can't be him. The guy's got curly hair in that video.
Right. Yeah. So his identity is super spoiler. That's after the twist.
Right. Now, can I make a comment on that section?
Yeah.
When he is, he's obviously, this guy is being, stalked by somebody. They're sending him messages and everything. And he winds up at home. And no sooner does he get home than this person all in dark. And this isn't like a mystical person. It's not like a Jason Voorhees. This is a person hell-bent on murdering people. And when he comes in, he gets into a battle, gets into his bedroom and pushes the chest up against the door. Why did he come out of that room? What? I mean, why not go to your window, open the window and yell down? Because there were people outside, yell down, call, because we assume his phone's not with him. And he calls down, and people don't have landlines now. And he called down and say, somebody call 911. I'm being attacked or something. But he come. So anyway.
I think they were trying to establish that this guy had an anger issue because he's at the grocery store. He turns around, just flips off a whole crowd of people because he gets this sort of threatening text.
Well, he gets a text from somebody that's in line behind him.
Yeah.
And they say, like, nice butt. And it's a picture of him standing up there. So he turns around, he flips them off. And he's flipping off everybody in line. But you know what was funny in that scene was when that woman, like two people behind him, coughed. And everybody turns and looks at her. That's how things were. I remember because I have sneezing fits a lot. I'll just start sneezing. If I sneeze once, I'll sneeze 10 times. And I used to take, if I felt one coming on, I would leave whatever I had and walk outside because I didn't want to take and be judged. I can't take being judged.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, now he winds up home. So he winds up, I mean, anybody that's watching this, I cannot be responsible for the fact that I will let a spoiler slip here and there, even if I try not to. But it's been out. And you can mute me and just look at my handsome face if you want this entire broadcast. I understand. But so then they leap forward or they leap sideways to where these two young ladies are leaving college. And, let me tell you about the casting here. You know what I liked?
What?
Whenever you see high school students in a movie, they're like 40. And these two young ladies casting this look like college age people.
Oh, yeah.
So it fit perfect. And they wind up packing their stuff and going to stay because they got a quarantine anyway. So the one girl lets it be known, the girl whose house it's not, lets it be known that she's got a father that's ill. So she can't be contracting COVID and taking it home to him. So her friend promises, nobody's coming over. Nobody's being invited. So they go up to this beautiful cabin on a lake. And the only neighbor, they say, is 2 miles away around the lake. But across the lake, they're a lot closer.
So my questioning earlier, do you know why I asked about it reminding you of another film? And you answered with the right film.
Okay.
Because Kevin Williamson co-wrote this. He also wrote Scream.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I'm a nerd, man.
No, you're a guru. You're an expert. Don't beat yourself up and call yourself a nerd. I could introduce you. If you met the Benites, I could introduce you to about 1,500 nerds.
They're great. I like encountering them in the chat rooms and stuff. They all seem really nice.
See that you put up the caution there.
There we go.
Spoilers.
We can spoil it. So okay, so we get to this cabin, and like you said, it's beautiful. It's in 2020 money. That had to be $1 million. Well, this is lakefront. Had to be at least $1 million property.
That depends on where the lake is, but yeah, I mean that could be millions of dollars.
True.
But they get there. Go ahead. I'm listening. I want to hear what happens.
The two friends arrive. The girl who I need to get the character names. Parker. It's Parker and Miri.
Right. And Dylan. Right? Isn't he there? Or DJ?
DJ.
That's
so
right.
Parker's dad is the one that owns the place. Miri's the friend who doesn't want anybody around, and then DJ is the love
kind of a
interest.
Strange boyfriend of Parker.
Yeah, like he seems to want something more than she wants. He shows up at this cabin house unannounced, and she's not a fan of him showing up because she doesn't want this relationship, and he seems to. He shows up in a strange truck because his was leaking some kind of fluid. I don't know.
I hate it when that happens.
His truck was taking a pee. 2020, that's just 3 years. Oh my God. I know, dude. It's been a long 3 years. They smoke some weed, and Miri asks for her own joint, which that's intelligent, but I'm pretty
You
sure.
can't be passing in the days of COVID. You can't be passing around.
But then immediately after that, they have this. May be the one part of the movie that bothered me is the rave scene in the basement. They're like, we got to go to the basement, and then they play this terrible electronic dance music and flashing lights, and what Miri is spraying Lysol in the air while dancing. I'm like, I think that's probably worse for you than COVID. Just sucking down Lysol.
Well, in Sick 2, she actually has polyps on her lungs that were caused by the aerosol. I don't want to say a particular brand because it could get me sued.
Oh yeah, air cleaner stuff, disinfectant. There we go. Let's see. After that, we have the uncomfortable conversation between DJ and Parker about their relationship, and he asked her about the video of her making out with some random dude named Benji, and then she's kind of shuts him down, and they all go to bed. But this is sort of where the weird stuff kicks in, right?
To their credit, they did not belabor that scene.
That's true.
They had what would probably be a normal conversation between people in that situation, so they didn't beat it to death. So that was good.
That's probably one of the best things about this movie is it's paced. It's like a brisk 85 minutes or something. It's pretty.
It's an hour and 23 minutes. I looked tonight when it came up, which that seems to be the new norm. They're getting around hour 20-minute films instead of 90-minute for horror or longer. Which also, when you come down to it, I mean, you've got these shows that are 90 minutes. The show that premiered on HBO, The Last of Us, based on the video game Sunday night, was 90 minutes. So you've got TV shows now in a lot of cases that are as long. I mean, even the Game of Thrones prequel that just came out. Almost every one of those episodes could have been a movie.
Yeah.
How well and the length they are. But yeah, this was an hour and 23 minutes, and it was well paced. I agree with you, spooky dude.
Thank you, Nigel. And it's a slasher flick, right? Like, it's got the extra layers of COVID and paranoia and all this stuff, but at the heart of it, it's a slasher movie. So I'm glad they don't just have. There is an info dump later in the film, but it's not like we're not sitting through two 10-minute info dumps and being like, having to wrap our brain around this complex plot. I guess, okay, so everybody's asleep now. We hear some kind of song start playing out of the radio in the main floor. Did you recognize the music? I didn't.
Yeah, but now I forget it. I can hear it. Sorry.
It didn't sound like super modern. I don't.
It was an 80s song.
That wakes up Parker, and she goes down to investigate because she thinks that DJ's playing some games to get her attention, and she is grabbed by him in a pretty good jump scare scene. Where he says, "Hey, don't make a noise. It's not someone's in here. That's someone turned on the music and they took my phone," and everybody's missing their phones. And then Miri almost gets stabbed by an assailant.
Well, because he gets her to leave the house with the keys, and he says, "I'll go get Miri." And so Parker climbs out the window, and like better than a chimpanzee. She goes down. She's very good, very limber, very skilled. She climbs down, gets in the car to wait for him and Miri to come out. And that's when she looks through the door while Parker's outside about to get in the car, and she sees the guy with the knife coming in towards Miri's room. Yep. And so she screams, wakes her up, and at the last second, she rolls out the way as he stabs into the mattress. And she survives that.
For now,
correct.
I think then DJ gets attacked. I think both Miri and Parker are out of the house. after
Well,
a brief scene.
DJ gets in Mary's room,
Yeah,
and he's wrestling with the guy, and she runs out, and her and Parker get to the car, and they're waiting for him while he's wrestling the guy, and he almost had him, folks. He almost had him, but they're out there waiting. He gets attacked in the hallway. He gets overcome. They're out there waiting. He comes out. Can I say this spoiler, spooky dude?
yeah.
He comes out and he's walking off funny, and it's because the person that just killed him has a spear like through his back, and he's like holding him up, seemingly with not a whole lot of effort. I mean, this was a strong person, because when we get to the part in the lake, the guy is Aquaman, obviously, but we'll get to that. But he's walking out with him, and that's when they realize he's dead, and they try to get away, and he chases them. And anyway.
Yeah. So I love that scene, by the way. I thought that was a cool reveal. We've seen movies where the person is dead or close, deadish, and then it's revealed that the assailant is carrying them or wearing their face.
Remember in Independence Day, the first one, where Brett Spiner is up at the window talking to him?
Oh yeah,
and they look close, and the tentacles of the alien are wrapped around his neck, and they're doing the talking through him.
That's creepy. That's a very creepy scene.
Yes, it is, sir.
From like not a super creepy movie, but yeah. So DJ's dead, and then we've got. They start driving away. Or no.
They start to drive away, and they wind up spinning out or something, and the tire's flat, and the car's stuck. So they get out to run back towards the house when the dude in black breaks the window, and he's coming towards the car. They get out, and they run back up towards the house.
Yeah.
And they get in, and but was that the first guy? Because Parker wound up whacking the one guy. We then find out there's two.
Yeah.
Because she knocks the guy down, beats him in the head with this, I don't know what the hell that was. It was like a metal bucket or a plant pot. But she beats him until his face is smashed. 4 gallons of blood have run across the floor. And yet this guy is still alive later in the movie. But anyway, she gets out of there. And speaking of superheroes, when they run upstairs to get away from him, Mary, is that her name, Mary?
Mary's the friend.
Falls out the window 2 stories.
Dude.
And she survives.
Thud. You don't think she's going to, but man, that fall was something else. That was awesome. There's a couple of awesome stunts in this movie. That was one of them. You know what I was thinking when she's bashing that dude's face in, though? I was like, you're not going to be able to identify this guy after you smash his face with that heavy metal antique thing that no one needs to own.
Well, they didn't reveal this, but in reality, she was going to school for criminal justice, and she figured we'll just go with fingerprints.
That's pretty good.
I made that up. But they wind up. Mary gets back in the house after. Mm-hmm. Well, Parker's in there, and there's a second one after she smashed this guy's head in. A second guy comes in the door, and she manages to escape him. Gets out and talks to Mary. Tells her she's got to get back in the house while she's running from this guy. Now, here's where some BS happens. Can I tell what I thought was BS?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, she runs down to the lake, and they have a dock that's attached to the land, and attached to the dock is a floating dock.
Yeah.
That she picks up an oar, and she whacks this guy in the head with it, manages to get on this dock, unties the rope, and pushes off. Now, folks, I do not live on a lake. I do not have a lot of dock experience, but I will tell you, moving that dock away would not have been that easy. And she had an oar, and she's rowing away to get away from this guy, pulling this 8x8 dock that she's using basically as a flotation device.
Yeah.
I got news for you. There could be two of them in each side that want to move that fast, but it did. But Spooky Dude, here's what drove me nuts.
Okay.
And I love this film, by the way. It's 87 on Rotten Tomatoes. And here's what gets me. She gets all the way out in this lake. Suddenly, he pops up like Jason Voorhees in the first Friday the 13th with the knife. How the hell did he get out there? Where'd he come from? Is he Aquaman is what I want to know.
He could be a Navy SEAL, former Navy SEAL.
I don't know, fully dressed and with a mask on and everything. He gets out there and starts attacking and just stands there when she winds up jumping off the dock and swimming to the neighbor's house, who she basically...
Yeah.
And I'm going to watch my language because of the potential audience you have here. She basically did the only neighbor they had. She did them wrong. Because she went to his house, she wound up getting him killed. Because first of all, her hand's bloody because two people in this film get stabbed through their hand.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
It's seemingly not a problem, much of a problem. They do this for about a minute, but then they're okay the rest of the film. I want to think that if you're stabbed in the hand, you're in serious pain. Adrenaline, that stuff, who knows? So anyway, She gets in this guy's house, but when she breaks in by sliding open the window, she leaves a bloody handprint on the window, which allows her assailant to discover she's broken into that house.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
So
well, he didn't recognize her either. That was sort of weird. This guy's just like, I'm going to shoot you in the face in 5 seconds if you don't get out of here. And she's like, I used to play with your daughter. Yeah.
Right. And she finally said Carly or something, which was his daughter's name. And he says, oh, you're Miranda's kid. So he then recognized him. But you know what's funny?
What?
They said, I'm telling you right now, there's a backstory. The mother of Parker had something going on with the neighbor. Because you notice how Parker said it's her father's place and he only comes up once a year with the fellas?
Mm-hmm.
So why did he not refer to the father's name? He said, oh, you're Miranda's kid. He kind of went like this. If you're looking closely, he went like this. Oh, you're Miranda's kid.
I did not.
I think that guy's actually Parker's father.
Oh my!
I know that doesn't happen in the story. We don't get to that maybe in Sick 2. But
anyway. I like this movie, but I sincerely hope they don't make a sequel.
You know what film they won't make a sequel of?
What's that?
Passion of the Christ.
Probably not.
All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I digress. I went off track there.
So so I have a question. Which one of the dudes is in the lake? It's the second one, right? It's not the first guy. Like he's already beat up.
And this is a spoiler.
Yeah.
His son is already kind of dead, but not, back in the kitchen. And he winds up getting, I don't know if she's killed him or not already with the knife, but
I don't think so.
Is that her? What? I keep screwing. I should write this down.
Miri.
Mary's very skilled with first aid because she forms a splint for her broken leg out of the broken legs off a kitchen stool. She fashions herself a splint. Then guy with his head bashed in you'll watch this and you'll see like 3 gallons of blood from this guy's head from getting bashed, but he somehow manages to get back up, come back to, and goes to attack Miri. And she's got this, she grabs a knife and she gets him in the side of the neck, and then he's dead. We think, but he is. It turns out he is. I'm thinking, well, this dude, if he can take 10 whacks to the head with a bucket that drains him of almost all his blood, then he might be able to take anything. So, but he's gone. And how'll she get back to the house? Parker.
Okay, so she runs away after the neighbor is shot, and she gets through the woods, and the second guy's chasing her, and a car comes by.
That's how she gets back, because she's running from the second guy out to the street, and that ditzy lady who I've seen in a ton of movies.
Yeah,
my roommate, the evil Miss Holly, said we've never seen her in anything, and she said she's been in everything. She plays the same ditzy character every time. What's her name? You're looking it up. I see your eyes there.
It's Jane Addams.
All right, so Jane Addams played, and she played her role great. She's ditzy. She won't let her in the car, even though there's an attacker up there, because she doesn't have a mask on. And she's like, "What, are you kidding me?"
I love that scene. Like that felt so absurd. Like, this girl is banging on your window. She's obviously bleeding everywhere, and there's a dude out here who you can plainly see is coming to attack her, and you're like, "Do you have a mask?" You know, like you're concerned about the mask so much that you won't let her get in the car. But we find out why when she gives her a mask and she puts it on and she gets in and she's that whole scene is well acted. I thought it was super well done. It smells like chloroform, and then, you know, movie magic. She falls asleep in like 3 seconds. So obviously
she winds up. They wind up back at the house. And she's kind of restrained her. They're about to restrain her. But when she wakes up, it turns out this woman was in on it. You figure that out from the part in the car.
Yeah.
And the person with her, is that her brother?
So, no, I believe it's her husband.
Okay. Because they talk about that guy that's laying over there on the floor dead is their older son. And now I'll let you take away about talking about the reveal.
So she asks, "Where's Jeb?" And it's revealed that these people are in a family. She goes to look at the dead body and gets sad, and they come back, and the male assailant, the husband / father, is yelling at Parker, and she doesn't understand why they're bothering her, but they make reference to the video that we saw earlier on Instagram of her kissing this Benji guy. And it turns out that Benji was their youngest son. He contracted COVID at this party while making out with Parker and died in a hospital due to complications from COVID. And so this family is going around basically executing. It's like what do they call it? A contact
tracing was what they call. But yes, Parker was a super spreader.
Yeah.
They had
her in the movie.
She was asymptomatic. They tested her, found out she was positive, and she was spreading it. So now here's where I'm confused. So she made out with Benji. Benji died, who was their younger son. And then they came after her. Benji's older brother and father and mother came after her to exact revenge and kill her for killing, basically giving her son COVID and killing him. So who was the guy in the beginning? The first guy killed.
He's the guy who gave it to her, to Parker.
So she was
remember
they said kind of a loose woman.
Sure, no judgment here, but yeah.
She was with that guy. She was with DJ, and she was with Benji.
Well, I think they said something like she gave it to 7 people at the party. So I don't think she made out necessarily with 7 people, but like people around her were getting it because she wasn't masked up and they weren't either. They asked, "Where was your mask?" And she's like, "Where was his?" And then that's what gets her slapped across the face again by the father.
It was an absolute tragedy.
So 7 people here. Fun fact though. Okay. We mentioned Jane Addams. That's the mom. Okay. She's got 72 acting credits on IMDb. She's been in everything from In Plain Sight to House to Orange County, Father of the Bride Part 2. I mean, she's been in like everything.
Was she ever in Law and Order?
Yes. Special Victims Unit.
Because I was going to say every actor in Hollywood has been in at least one Law and Order.
And CSI. She's been in that again. That too. But here's a fun thing. Oh, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Everybody loves that movie, right? She's in that.
I have never seen it.
It's sad. It's real sad.
I know. I just I need to watch it someday.
Her character's name is Pamela. The husband's name is Jason. So the guy that jumps out of the water, like you said, like Jason, is named Jason, and she's named Pamela, which Jason's mom in the Friday the 13th series is Pam.
That couldn't have been an accident.
Hell no, no way. But it's weird that they're married. Like Jason wasn't married to his mom. Well, I mean, he
you never know what goes on there. I mean, he's dead. He's like the living dead. There could be, you know, where was this? Was this the South? No, I'm just kidding with you.
Hey now, Nigel, what you saying?
Well, you know, let me tell you something about living in southern New Jersey. If I drive up to Manhattan, they think I'm from Georgia. If I drive down to Georgia, they think I'm from Manhattan. So
you don't sound like you're from. Hey, my dudes, that's it for part 1 with Nigel Bach here. Stick around, come back next week. Stick around or come back. Just come back next week, and we'll have part 2 wrapping up